can't blame the leftists in the press and the leftists in government for not wanting to focus on the terrible job Joe Biden and his Democrat regime are doing. But it doesn't mean I have to play along. Now, I had a boss once who said we had to play the hits, meaning we had to talk about what everybody else was talking about. If the left-wing biased and unfair press said it was news, we in conservative media were expected to follow their lead. But I've always pushed back on that. I think we're losing if we define things the way the American left wants us to. Prime example, I don't call it the DEI movement. I call it the Diversity, Inclusion, and Equity movement, or DIE for short, because that's precisely what these leftists are doing. They're killing this last best hope of mankind on earth, the United States. You see, I came into media, into this world, as a student of the Limbaugh Institute for Advanced Conservative Studies. And Al Rushbo always said, if the left wants you to talk about something, real Americans should be focused on something else, in particular things that harm our communities, states, and country. And where the Salcedo Show doesn't ignore big news and the depravity of the left, we strive not to let them drive our coverage. The left, unqualified, incompetent, and un-American. We provide a clear-eyed view of left-wing elitists in today's preamble, where President Trump, and to be fair, with Mitch McConnell's help, was able to appoint a record number of capable, learned, and constitutional judges, Joe Biden and his leftists are busy appointing just the opposite.
Tell me how you analyze a Brady motion.
How I analyze a Brady motion?
Yes.
I believe that the Brady case, Senator, I believe the Brady case involves something regarding the Second Amendment. It is not. I've not had occasion to address that. If that issue were to come before me, I would certainly analyze that Supreme Court precedent and apply it as I would need to the facts in front of me.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Wrong. A Brady motion requires prosecutors to disclose evidence to the defense. Now, I had to look that up, but I'm not applying to be a judge who is responsible for applying the law as written to our people. The qualifications are the last thing these extremists who populate the Democrat Party care about. In other words, they're perfectly comfortable, content on giving you, the American people, the dregs, the bottom of the barrel, the least qualified, because that's what you deserve, according to Democrats. Besides, Democrats have higher priorities than you, the little people.
Some of the spending items that are brought to my attention. $3.9 billion for the Department of Homeland Security Climate Resilience Program. $3.9 billion because the administration cares about a climate crisis more than the crisis at our border. $3.5 billion for the FBI's new headquarters. $3.5 billion for the FBI to have a brand new headquarters in Maryland. $1.8 billion more for the Internal Revenue Service on top of the $80 billion that was given to the IRS last year. $1.6 billion for the United Nations Green Climate Fund, which includes $100 million to go to China. China.
Billions of dollars to foreign countries. And the Democrats' religion of man-made global warming. Some of you with more than one brain cell might be asking, hey, where are we going to get all the money for all this? We're $32 trillion in debt. Well, Democrats, they have a solution for that, too. They want to forcibly take it out of your pocket.
There are spending cuts you have outlined that we've talked a lot about here today. However, if you continue the tax cuts, which has also been a stated policy goal, of those making over $400,000 and skewed to the wealthy, you use all of those savings for extending those tax cuts. That is where the analysis came from.
And where in the Freedom Caucus proposal that was put out publicly was there any mention of the tax cuts? Putting aside the debate over tax cuts, which is a meritorious debate.
Well, it is. But that's right, folks. According to the socialists in the Democrat Party, you are to go to work, you are to bust your rear end, and you are to sacrifice so that government never has to take a haircut. You have to do without so Christopher Wray can have a shiny new office, and so Xi Jinping can build more bullets and bombs to kill Americans. The socialists in the Democrat Party, they're teaming up with Republicans like John Cornyn and Mitch McConnell and the other Senate Republicans who voted for that disgraceful omnibus. They say you and your family, you must suffer so government can live high on the hog and redistribute your money to their friends at home and in foreign countries. Remember I mentioned the Democrats' die agenda? Here's the nation's #1 beta male, Antony Blinken, informing the people that you'll be forced to fund this woke cancer that is eroding the stability of our nation from within.
The budget will advance our efforts to modernize the State Department, including by expanding our training float, updating our technology, carrying out diversity, equity, inclusion, and accessibility initiatives, including to make our overseas missions more accessible. I'm grateful for the progress we've already made together, including Congress's support in updating the Secure Embassy Construction and Counterterrorism Act and Accountability Review Board to give us some of the flexibility that we need to open new missions and better manage the risks that we face.
Oh, that's just what we need, folks. More money to an America-last State Department to fund the die agenda at home and abroad. And Team Biden isn't even helping you make more money to turn over to the government. Instead, they're tanking the economy.
So the president's budget would increase our debt by $18 trillion.
Which is $3 trillion less
Right.
than it would increase without the proposals in the president's budget.
So what the president's saying is, these are my words, not his. Because of his budget, we're going to have 3 heart attacks and a stroke instead of 4 heart attacks and a stroke.
I love Senator Kennedy. These people, folks, the Democrats, buffoons. They can't even tell us how they're going to achieve the jobs they were hired to do. In Yellen's case there, she says our debt, well, it's A-okay, but then she can't tell us how much debt is too much debt.
$51 trillion of debt up from $33 trillion doesn't bother you.
I think the path that is set out in the president's budget is fiscally sustainable. And
Could you
we
just
can't
answer my
judge-
question, Madam Secretary? What percentage of our debt of our GDP is too much?
Well, this budget has debt held by the public moving up to around 109% of GDP.
And that's not too much, in your opinion?
Historically, it's a high level.
Oh, you think? 109%? And that leads us to the ringleader of the unqualified, incompetent, and un-American Biden regime, Joe Biden himself. Not only is Biden incapable of standing against America's enemies in China, Mother Russia, and Iran, he can't even defeat his own teleprompter.
One today says, and always one moon like a silent drum tapping at every rooftop and every window on every country. Let me start this over again. I'm proud to use my authority under the Antiquities Act to establish the, and I want you to know it's a big deal, the Havaniqua May. I'm having trouble. Like Jill, the first lady, the first full-time lady, the first lady who works full-time, in addition to being the first lady.
Hold on a minute, I just did a little math here. Mike, I think the score is Biden's teleprompter 11, Joe Biden 0. But I might be in error. Our researchers are looking into it right now. America was once a great nation, but under Democrat rule, we are under the threat of losing it all. It's not because we have Democrats within our borders. It's because we have Democrats within our borders in positions of power who have abandoned everything that made America great: individual freedom, limited constitutional government, and free enterprise. So while CNN, MSNBS, the New York Times, and the others all work in conjunction with Democrats and never Trump Republicans to make sure that the America First agenda never makes it back to the White House, we here on the Chris Salcedo Show will be focused on the clear and present danger that is the Democrat Party and the socialists who now dominate it.